All right. Hey everyone, welcome back to Great Northwest Weaponry. Today we are taking a look at the BSA made Lee Enfield No.1 Mk3 Star. This is a 1917 production rifle. We actually have two of them out here today. This one belongs to my friend Jason, who's behind the camera. Hi Jason.
Hey.
And we actually, we'll get into this a little more, but we had to use his rifle instead of mine because of a early problem with mine. Apparently there was a stock repair that was well hidden and probably done a very long time ago, and it cracked when I was firing the first shots through the rifle. So that one's out of commission until it gets repaired. But on the rifle itself, these were introduced in 1907 as the brainchild of the War Council Committee of Small Arms or something of that nature. If I got their title incorrect, I'll post it right here. But it's an interesting rifle. It is a 10-shot charger clip fed 303 British rifle, and it was kind of designed to replace universally the previous MLE or magazine Lee Enfield. SMLE means short magazine Lee Enfield, or as marked on the gun, it is, I believe, SHTLE, which just means short Lee Enfield. We'll look closer at markings when we take this to the table, and we'll be looking at mine when we take it to the table as well. There's a couple of differences that are key that we're going to want to note. It's an interesting gun though, and feeding it, as you may have noticed, is a bit of a pain. Even loading the rounds, I was having to get really forceful with the bolt, I was noticing, because these are cock on close, of which is pretty standard across Enfield rifles. But it's a rimmed cartridge, and if you feed them wrong, you'll get rim lock, and you can get it really bad. I actually had to do a retake of the video twice, once for rim lock and once for a funny little moment that'll be put in a blooper at the end of the video. So stick around to the last minutes and you'll get to see that. It's a gem. But let's go ahead and stick this thing on the table and take a closer look. Okay, so here we have both rifles. This one is the one that belongs to Jason, the one I've been shooting and will continue shooting today. This one here is mine. You can actually see one of the cracks that I mentioned earlier on mine here, but the severe one is right there. Now there is a number of ways that this can be repaired, and one of the most common is to put toothpicks through with wood glue. Just drill tiny holes and put toothpicks through. So hopefully we'll have this rifle up and running and in commission in the not too distant future. I've got to shoot exactly 10 rounds through this gun and then noticed that there was a problem and it had to stop. But let's take a look at markings and some other basic essentials of these rifles. For one, this is fed by a magazine. There's a little lever up by the trigger. There you can see it. Right here, you just depress that and then the magazine comes out. This was only meant to be done for cleaning. They did not actually load with the magazine. They loaded with these little pieces of hot garbage. I hate these. They're not fun. Again, as I mentioned already, but you probably saw the first 5 went smooth. You gotta make sure that they're lined up just so that the rims aren't overlapping. I'll actually show here at the end of this little segment a good way to do that. But the second 5 just did not want to go in, and I had to get my second hand in. So a couple things with markings. If you see this broad arrow right here, that is the standard military acceptance mark. You'll see this on virtually all British rifles and revolvers and you know, really anything that the British used in the early 20th century or even before. You're going to see that broad arrow. Bolt removal is a little interesting. So you pull up the bolt and you get back to here. You see this piece? That rotates up and then the bolt comes out. Then you can get in, you know, clean the bolt, clean the barrel. Reinsertion is just the reverse of operation. And as I'd mentioned, these are the Mk3 Star. You can see the little star there, and short Lee Enfield, SHTLE. BSA is Birmingham Small Arms, and in England there were 3 primary manufacturers, those being Birmingham Small Arms, London Small Arms, and RSAF Enfield. RSAF meaning Royal Small Arms Factory, I believe. So those are your primary English manufacturers, but then there's also their Commonwealth manufacturers such as Lithgow in Australia, and I'm forgetting the name, but I'll post it right here for the Southeast Asia. I never can quite remember that one. But let's look at mine versus this one. You'll notice there's one immediate glaring difference, and that's right up here. This piece was often removed in the Second World War, was cut out because these just kind of tend to break. You can even see that this one is just kind of hanging on for dear life there. So that was often cut out in the Second World War. These saw extensive use in both World Wars. Don't let anybody tell you different. People often try to say like, no, the number 4 Mark I was the only one that the British used in the Second World War. Way more of the number 1 Mark IIIs and Mark III stars were present in places like Dunkirk and North Africa. But the British did lose most of them in Dunkirk. So after that, yes, there tended to be a lot less. Also, a lot of times there's a plate back here on this one. You can see where it was, but it was removed and placed with a block of wood. And on mine, you can see the plate is still existent. This is original strap on mine here. This is what the just a reproduction strap, or just a modern rifle strap would look like, you know. Very interesting. Another thing, there is, and I'm going to remove it on this gun. I'm not going to do it on mine because of those ears right there. But a lot of times there is a very large amount of markings underneath this piece here. And getting it out is a little bit of a bear, but because those clips, this appears to have some cosmoline that needs cleaning. But this is how you can tell if the gun, if the receiver is matched the barrel. Your barrel number is here, and a lot of times there'll be a lot of other markings on here. On mine, it is absolutely peppered with markings. And it just clips back on. You got to raise the sight to do that. And the sight is, it's not actually a volley sight. They actually deleted that on the Mark III Star. This is just an elevator. You push that button there and it rolls up for your yardage. So, cool. Let's shoot it some more. So before we actually shoot this, I'd mentioned I was going to show you something about loading the clips. Notice how they're angled like so. What you want is for the rims, the bottom rim to be over the one on top of it. If it is the reverse of that, you'll have severe rim lock issues. So that's kind of the trick there. If you don't do that, you're gonna have a lot of fun. And sometimes when you're loading them, if you don't do it smoothly and quickly, they'll kind of jump around and you'll still have rim lock. So you gotta be mindful of that. And if you're trained well with it, which I haven't honestly shot the Lee Enfield very much, so this is kind of, I know more about them than I have physically experienced myself. So you just lock it in that notch there and then shove. And there we go. Doesn't appear to be locked. And we're just going to do 5. One thing with this also, you notice the ejection isn't extremely forceful. A lot of times they just kind of hop up and then fall right back in. Notice that with both this one and with mine when I was shooting mine. So that is something you just kind of have to be aware of, I guess. Okay. 4 for 5, not terrible. Couple more notes on this. BSA continued producing these until 39, so you will see BSA made number 1 Mark IIIs as late as 39. They did produce them longer than any of the other English countries, or English manufacturers, but then the Commonwealth manufacturers, I can't really speak to their production numbers. If we ever get our hands on one, I'll do more adequate research on those to convey to you. But it's a good rifle. It's just learning the gun. It's a different weapon system than most of us are used to. Most of us are used to the bolt that is cock on open, which is based more on the Mauser. Particularly the Gewehr 98 was like the kind of the paragon of the cock on open rifles. I personally shoot my American Enfield best, and that is a cock on close like this, but the sights are very wildly different. They're peep sights rather than you know, blade and notch. And that is something too, as a side note to this. Next week we're going to be doing a video based on the Mad Minute, and if you don't know what that is, we'll get into it more in the video, but that is a very famous British training exercise. I am going to be doing my first run on it with the American Enfield, not the British Enfield, just because I know I shoot the American Enfield way better. I need to practice with the British Enfield before I think I'm up to the Mad Minute. Again, if you don't know what that is, we'll go into that when we actually make that video. Also, this is the 10th video we've done on the channel, so after this segment is over, we're going to do an additional segment that is abnormal for us, where we're going to just kind of go over the state of the channel after these first few videos, these first 10. So, Lee Enfield No.1 Mk3. Very historic rifle. You know, they've gone up in value quite a bit lately. It's actually kind of funny. I saw some gun forums and blogs where people were talking about how very low the value was, and I noticed the date on them, and it was from 2007. They're talking about how these guns go for like 150 to 200. Not on your life right now could you find one for 150 to 200. 700 is about the bottom line. So get them before they get up to 1500, because it's coming. They're getting less and less common, harder and harder to find. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's go to our little announcement here. So, announcement. Like I say, we haven't done this really, but we're at the 10th video on the channel, so I think it is appropriate. We are going to start doing videos on within a day of the 10th, 20th, and 30th, rather than every Saturday. That is largely going to be just to relieve some of the pressure on me to always have a video ready. Also because I will start running out of guns at some point if I am releasing demos too often. And to that point, we're not just going to be doing demos anymore. I'd already mentioned we're going to start doing the Mad Minute, and I intend to do that with every bolt-action MkIII rifle I can get my hands on forevermore. So you've got quite a few awesome guns laid out here. Some are mine, some are not. Not mine, mine, not mine, maybe soon mine, but not mine yet. Mine, mine, not mine, and then the bayonets are both mine. So all of these will have demos made for them. Any of these that don't have a demo yet made, demo will be coming soon. And in the meantime, like I said, we'll be doing more segments. I've actually thought of 4 different styles of segments, and you'll kind of see those as they're released, but there's going to be some versus stuff and some maybe running of courses, and then the Mad Minute, and of course demos, because I have no intention of stopping. And to that point, and since today's video actually was the first time we've done this, using some guns that some friends of mine have that they don't mind me doing a demo of, or in some cases want me to do a demo of, that's going to happen every now and then. I will tell you when we're not using one of my guns versus when we're using one of mine. But those are the changes. Thank you very much for all of you that have been watching up to this point. And we actually had some kind of an exciting thing happen today. We had our first video break 1,000 views, the Tavor X95 demo. So if you haven't checked that out, give it a look. People seem to like that one. And yeah, this has been Thomas. I hope you've enjoyed. And we're going to finish off with a quick little blooper reel from today's shooting.